You are on Tips and Streams with your host, Coca.
What's good, everyone? Welcome back to Tips and Streams. I'm Koken, and I hope your week's been treating you right, whether you're catching a day off or just getting a little time with your people. All right, let's get to the daily picks. I've got 4 NBA matchups on the card today, so buckle up. We're diving straight into the action. The first prediction for today's NBA games is for the game between the Miami Heat and Atlanta Hawks. When I break down this Heat versus Hawks matchup, I see 2 teams limping into the gym, but not for the same reasons. Atlanta has the shinier record and the home floor, yet their recent tape tells a different story. I have watched this league for 3 decades, and one thing never changes. Trends lie when momentum disappears. Right now, Atlanta looks like a team searching for answers on the defensive end, especially late in games. The Hawks can score, no doubt about it. They move the ball, push the tempo, and have guys who can light it up in bunches. But what worries me is how easily they give points right back. Their rotations have been slow, their rebounding has been shaky, and when the game tightens in the fourth quarter, their execution tends to unravel. I have seen them build leads, only to let opponents walk straight into the paint or feast off second chances. That is not a profile I trust when laying points. Miami, on the other hand, is frustrating, but in a way, I understand. They are banged up, their offense has been clunky, and they are not finishing games cleanly. Still, when I watch the Heat, I see structure. I see a team that knows how to guard, how to grind possessions, and how to make life uncomfortable for scorers. Even during this rough stretch, Miami continues to contest shots, force tough looks, and slow games down when things get chaotic. This matchup is all about style. Atlanta wants a fast-track meet. Miami wants a half-court chess match. If this game turns into a track meet, Atlanta probably wins outright. But if Miami dictates pace, switches defensively, and keeps the Hawks out of rhythm on the perimeter, the game tightens quickly. And tight games favor teams that are comfortable playing ugly basketball. I also keep circling back to Atlanta's recent home performances. The building has not given them the boost it usually does. They have dropped games they should have controlled, and their margin for error has vanished. Meanwhile, Miami has quietly had success against Atlanta over the years by taking away the middle of the floor and forcing jump shots late in the clock. That formula still applies. From a numbers standpoint, neither team has inspired confidence against the line lately. But this is exactly why I lean toward the underdog. The market is still giving Atlanta respect based on reputation and offensive talent, while Miami is being priced like a broken team. I do not see it that way. I see a veteran group that can hang around, absorb runs, and respond with defensive stops. In the end, I am not asking Miami to be perfect. I am asking them to compete, defend, and keep this within arm's reach for 48 minutes. Given Atlanta's struggles closing games and Miami's ability to drag opponents into the mud, that feels very realistic to me. My prediction is clear. I am taking the Miami Heat to cover the 4.5-point spread. I trust their defense, their experience, and their ability to make this a possession-by-possession fight. Even if Atlanta escapes with the win, I believe Miami stays right there until the final horn. Today's second prediction is for the game between the Charlotte Hornets and Orlando Magic. Alright, I'm locked in for Hornets, Magic, and the way I see it, this matchup screams Orlando control. The Magic come in at 17-13, and even when they don't look pretty, they usually find a way to win with defense, physicality, and patience. Charlotte is 10-20, and while they just handled Washington, I'm not ready to trust that same energy traveling into Orlando. The first thing that jumps off the page for me is Orlando's identity at home. This team defends as they take it personally, and their home defensive numbers back it up. They're allowing just 108.8 points per 100 possessions in their own building, which is the kind of profile that turns opponents' offense into a grind. And Charlotte is exactly the type of team that can get stuck in the mud when the game slows down, because their consistency comes and goes. Now, Charlotte can score. They're putting up 115.4 points per game. And when LaMelo Ball is cooking, the Hornets can look dangerous in bursts. Miles Bridges gives them a steady bucket, and Brandon Miller can punish you if you lose him on the perimeter. But the problem is what happens on the other end. Charlotte is giving up 118.8 points per game and allowing opponents to shoot 48.9% overall. That's not a small leak. That's a steady drip that turns into a flood against disciplined teams. Orlando's offense isn't built to win beauty contests, but I like how their pieces fit for this spot. Paolo Banchero is the kind of forward who can bend a defense with strength and downhill pressure, and Desmond Bane gives them a reliable shot maker who doesn't panic when possessions get late. Wendell Carter Jr. stabilizes the paint and the glass, and Orlando's ability to live at the free throw line matters here. A big chunk of their scoring comes at the stripe, and they're near the top of the league in free throws made per game. Against a Charlotte defense that sends opponents to the line at a high rate, that's a matchup advantage I'm not ignoring. The injury list is real, though. Orlando is without Franz Wagner, Moritz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs, with Goga Bitadze questionable. Charlotte is missing Grant Williams, Mason Plumlee, and Ryan Cockbrenner. Even with Orlando's absences, I still trust their structure more, especially because Charlotte has been a rough road team all season, and this is a tough building to get comfortable in. So when I put it all together, I'm expecting Orlando to dictate pace, win the defensive possessions, and turn free throws into separation late. My prediction is, I'm backing the Magic to win and cover the 4.5-point spread against the Hornets. The third prediction for today is for the game between the Toronto Raptors and the Washington Wizards. I'm looking at Toronto traveling into Washington, and the first thing I'm checking is the how versus the how many. Because yes, Toronto has been the better team in the standings, and yes, their defensive identity is real. They pressure the ball, they shrink the floor, and they've got multiple wings who can switch, contest, and turn possessions into late clock problems. When Scotty Barnes is flying around as a help defender, and Brandon Ingram is giving them a clean bucket when things get sticky, Toronto can absolutely look like a team that's built to control a game. But here's where I'm not letting the record bully me into the wrong bet. Toronto's recent spread form has been rough. They've been winning some games, but not consistently separating the way a double-digit number demands. And this matchup setup matters because Toronto's offense has been the part that comes and goes. They can bog down into long possessions, live on tough mid-range creation, and sometimes they just don't stack points fast enough to bury a team early. On top of that, they're missing R.J. Barrett, and Jacob Poeltl being out strips them of a big stabilizer inside. That's the kind of absence that can turn a comfortable lead into a lot of second-chance scrapping. On the Washington side, I'm not here to pretend they're suddenly a good team. The results have been ugly, and that loss in Charlotte was the kind that makes you swear off them for a week. The defense has been a problem all season, and they can give up runs in a hurry. But the Wizards do have a couple of traits that keep them alive against a big number. They generate extra possessions with offensive rebounds, and they protect the rim with volume blocks. That combination can flip momentum without them playing perfect basketball. And with CJ McCollum as a steady scorer and Alex start bringing legit production, Washington isn't totally toothless offensively. If they can just avoid the full meltdown quarters, they can hang around. The other angle I can't ignore is the feel of a win but not cover type game for Toronto. Their defense can clamp, but a clamp doesn't automatically mean a blowout if your offense is still grinding. Toronto can absolutely be up 8-12 for long stretches, and then all it takes is one messy minute, one late three, or one backdoor run in garbage time to turn a cover into a push or sweat situation. So that's where I'm landing. I'm not stepping in front of Toronto to win the game, but I am stepping in front of this big number. My prediction is Washington to cover the 10-point spread against Toronto. I'm taking the Wizards plus 10, trusting the home court, the extra effort possessions, and the idea that Toronto's offense doesn't always create the separation a double-digit line asks for. Today's last prediction is for the game between the Los Angeles Clippers and Portland Trail Blazers. Tonight in Portland, I'm looking at two teams that have both been living on the edge all season, but in very different ways. Portland has been uneven and banged up, and lately, they've been dropping more games than they're cashing. The Clippers, on the other hand, have been a mess for long stretches, yet they're suddenly flashing some real life with back-to-back statement wins, including that blowout of Houston. Here's why I'm leaning toward Los Angeles, even with all the reasons people will bring up to fade them. The Clippers' season record is ugly, and their road form has been brutal. They've been a team that turns the ball over too much and doesn't create enough easy looks for teammates, which is a bad recipe in hostile gyms. And with Ivica Zubac out, they lose size, rebounding security, and a clean safety valve around the rim. On top of that, Bradley Beal is out for the year, and Derrick Jones Jr. is sidelined, so the depth and athletic defense take hits. But what I saw in those last 2 wins is the exact blueprint I trust from a veteran-led group. When Kawhi Leonard and James Harden are both cooking, the floor settles down. The possessions stop feeling random. Kawhi has been playing like the best player on the court, and Harden has been dictating tempo and creating shots instead of forcing them. If those two control the game again, I don't need the Clippers to be perfect. I need them to be composed. Now, Portland has some real shot makers. Shaedon Sharpe has been consistently putting pressure on defenses, and Deni Avdija has been producing across the box score with scoring, boards, and playmaking. The issue is that the margin for error gets thin when you're missing a long list of key bodies. Portland has been fighting, but they've also been living with cold shooting stretches, loose possessions, and not enough support when 1 or 2 guys get blitzed. Turnovers have been a recurring headache for them, and that's exactly where a disciplined, half-court Clippers approach can squeeze the air out of the building. The first meeting went the Clippers' way, and I also can't ignore how often Los Angeles has handled Portland in this matchup in recent spots. Add in the way both teams have been trending towards slower, more defensive games lately, and I'm expecting a grind where every run matters and late-game execution decides it. My prediction is the Clippers to win. I'm riding with the vets here. Even on the road, I trust Kawhi and Harden to generate cleaner offense late, control the tempo, and make enough winning plays to leave Portland with another close loss.